Greetings everyone. The topic for today is related to PTE Core and we will be discussing in detail about PTE Core Part 2 and Part 3. Yesterday we have discussed about Part 1. If you haven't subscribed my YouTube channel, subscribe it to get more updates related to IELTS, PTE, English grammar and English language lessons. So first is Part 2, which is the reading skill. And to understand each question type, we should know that in the first question, we will be getting a question related to reading and writing in the form of fill in the blanks. The second would be related to multiple choice or multiple answers. And the third would be related to reordered paragraph. And the fourth would be related to fill in the blanks. And the fifth would be related to multiple choice or single answer. So moving towards reading and writing, fill in the blanks, you can see that in the task, you will see some text with several gaps. Choose the correct words from the drop-down box to fill in the gaps. So the prompt length would be, the text would be up to 200 words and the skill assessed would be reading and writing. So the time to answer, it's not applicable and it will vary. How to answer this question type? So for this question type, you need to select the most appropriate words from the drop-down list to complete the text. You will see some text with missing words. Complete the text by clicking on the button next to each gap and choosing the correct option from the list. So you can change your answer by clicking on a different option. So here are a few test tips. As you can see, they select the most appropriate words from a drop-down list to restore the text. There's a passage with some missing words. Beside each gap, there is a button with a drop-down list. Left click on this button to reveal the drop-down list of response options for that gap. So choose the option you will think best fills the gap. To change your mind, left click on a different option. So skim for overall meaning to help you choose the correct word. If you understand the general meaning of the whole text, this will help you choose the correct word for each blank. For example, if you skim the passage below, you will find key ideas and words which point to a main topic of change. So when you click the drop-down arrows, you may find options that are also related to the main topic. You can then check grammar and overall meaning to see whether the words fit in the blank or not. First, read the blank and after selecting the word, read it again whether it will fit it appropriately or not. So read before and after the blank to help you identify the correct word. The response options in the drop-down menus may look quite similar, but they will have a different meanings and usage. So you can look at the surrounding context to help you choose the appropriate word. In the example below, only access fits in the phrase gain to technologies. You need to pick words that match both the meanings. Gain access and grammar access to reading either side of the blank will help you to narrow down the choices you have to make. So scan the text for the repeated words, then read around them to find answer more quickly. So how the question is scored? Your response is judged on your ability to use contextual and grammatical cues to identify words that complete a reading text. If you fill all the blanks correctly, you will receive the maximum score points for this question type. If you fill one or more blanks incorrectly, partial credit scoring applies. So please note that this question type affects the scoring of reading and writing. Your listening and speaking skills are not tested by this question type. For multiple choice and multiple answers in the task, read the text. So then answer multiple choice question on the content or tone of the text. You can select more than one response. So the prompt length would be around 275 words and the skills assessed would be reading and the time to answer is not applicable because it will vary. How to answer this question? For this question type, you need to read the passage and answer the multiple choice question. There is more than one correct response. You need to select all the response options that you think are correct from the list of the possible options. Click on an option to select it. You can deselect it by clicking on it again. The options you select are highlighted in yellow. So here are a few test tips. Make sure you know how the task is scored and read the instructions carefully and remember that more than one response option is correct. So you will score points for any correct options, but you will lose points for any incorrect options. These include options that you have clicked on as correct but which are wrong. If you click on all the options because you do not know the answer, you will lose score points. So note any repeated words in the options. Quickly read through the response option and note any words that are repeated, particularly adjectives, multigrade, or nouns that are classes. If the same noun phrase occurs in a lot of the options, the answer is probably related to this phrase. Scan the text for the repeated words, then read around them to find the answer more quickly. Now here comes the question that how this question is scored or how you will be marked or scored. So your response is judged on your ability to analyze, interpret and evaluate a short reading text on an academic subject. If all your responses are correct, you will receive the maximum score points. If one or more response options are incorrect, partial credit scoring applies. So each correct option is given 1 point, but 1 point is deducted for each wrong option. So make sure you are confident in your choices. Please also know that this question type affects the scoring of reading. Your listening, speaking, and writing skills are not tested by this question type. For reordered paragraph task, you will see text boxes in a random order. Put the text in the correct order. Prompt length would be up to 110 words. Skill assessed would be reading time to answer is not applicable. So how to answer this question? For this question type, you need to restore the original order of the text by selecting text boxes and moving them across the screen. There are the two ways you can move the text. Clicking and dragging the box to where you want to place it, and click on a box and then use the arrow buttons to move it. You can also use the up and down arrows to reorder the boxes. To deselect the box, click somewhere else on the screen. So for the test tips, read all the text boxes quickly before you start reordering them. In this way, you get an idea where is the introduction paragraph, where is the body paragraph, and what can be the conclusion paragraph for this question. Read the text boxes in order to understand the main idea of each one. You can do this by noting the keywords. So next, use the keywords to form an overall idea of what the original text is about. This will help you find the logical order for the ideas in the text boxes. So find the topic sentence first. Every well-written paragraph has a topic sentence. It is usually a clear statement about the topic, and all the other sentences are related in some way to this sentence. So the topic sentence can stand alone. It does not begin with a linker or a pronoun that refers back by something to something or someone, that is he or this. Nor does it does refer back to information or action previously mentioned. So through the use of the things like passive verb tenses, no link was found. So you can see the list and the order of the paragraphs. How this question is scored. Your response is judged on your ability to understand the organization and cohesion of an academic text. If all text boxes are in the correct order, you receive the maximum score points. If one or more text boxes are in the wrong order, partial credit scoring applies. Please note this question type affects the scoring of only reading. Your listening, speaking, and writing skills are not tested by this question type. Fill in the blanks. So task, you will see some text with several gaps. Drag words from the box below to fill the gaps. The prompt length of text would be up to 80 words and the skill assessed would be reading, and the time to answer is not applicable. So how to answer this question? For this question type, you need to drag and drop words across the screen to correctly fill in the gaps in the text. There's a passage with some missing words. You will have a list of words in the blue box that you can use to fill the gaps in the text. There are more than words than gaps, so you will not use all the words provided. Click and drag a word to each gap. If you need to change it, you can drag the word to a different gap or back to the blue box. So there are a few test tips. As you can see, that think about words that you often see or hear together. Remember that some words often go together to form a familiar phrase. This is called collocation. Using collocation can help you recognize the correct words for each blank. A topic related to collocation is present in my playlist. You can check it. So for example, the phrase the general public is a common collocation, so you can quickly see that public might be good choice for the first blank in the sentence below. And you can see the drop down menu and you can see how to select the word. All the information is provided in the pic. So how this question is scored: your response is judged by your ability to use context and grammatical cues to identify the words that complete a reading text. If you will fill all the blanks correctly, you will receive the maximum score points. If you will fill one or more blanks incorrectly, partial credit scoring applies. So please note that this question type affects the scoring of only reading, and your listening and speaking and writing skills are not tested by this question type. For multiple choice single answer, you can see that the task is that read the text, then answer a multiple choice question on the content or tone of the text. You can select only one response. The prompt length text would be up to 110 words, and the skills test would be reading, and the time to answer is not applicable. So how to answer this question? For this question type, you need to read the passage and answer the multiple choice question. There are several possible response options, but only one is correct. Click on an option to select it. You can change your mind by clicking on it again or by clicking on a different option. The option you select is highlighted in yellow. So here are a few test tips. You can see that note the keywords in the prompt before you read the text. The prompt may be a question or a sentence that you have to complete. Whatever type of prompt you get, make sure read it carefully because it will tell you what information you need to find in the text. If you focus on the keywords in the prompt, you will find the answer more quickly and need to spend less time reading the text. So evaluate the response options. The response option may be words, phrases, or sentences. Use your own knowledge to decide whether any of them are unlikely to be correct or likely to be correct. So you can do this before you read the text. If you read the text but cannot answer the question, choose the option that you think is most likely to be correct. This strategy also applies to multiple choice question with more than one answer. So how this question is scored? Your response is judged on your ability to analyze, interpret, and evaluate short reading text on an academic subject. Your response is scored as either correct or incorrect, and no credit is given for no response or an incorrect response. Also note that this question type affects the scoring of only reading. Your listening, speaking, and writing skills are not tested by this question type. Now we will move ahead with the part three, which is the listening skill. So the type of the question which you will be getting in this section is the summarized spoken text, multiple choice, multiple answers, fill in the blanks, multiple choice, single answer, select missing word, highlight incorrect words, and the last one is write from dictation. So moving ahead with first question type, which is summarized spoken text. In this task, listen to a recording, then write 20 to 30 word summary. The prompt length would be 45 to 75 seconds and the skill assessed would be listening and writing. The time to answer is just 8 minutes. So how to answer this question is, for this question type, you will hear an audio recording and need to write a 20 to 30 word summary of what you heard. You have 8 minutes to listen and then write your summary. The audio recording will play automatically. You can only listen to it once. The word count at the bottom of the screen counts the number of words you write. Make sure to write a minimum of 20 words but no more than 30 words. There are also cut, copy and paste buttons which you may choose to use while constructing your summary. Here are a few test tips. As you can see that use your erasable whiteboard to take notes, or you have a notepad, so while you listen to the recording, make sure you note down the supporting points as well as the main idea on your erasable whiteboard or your writing pad. From your notes, you can then summarize the main point and refer briefly to the essential supporting points. This will help you score good marks for the content. So remember to check grammar, spelling, and punctuation. In your 20 to 30 word summary, you will be scored on grammar, spelling, and vocabulary. So leave yourself 1 or 2 minutes after you will have written your summary to check your sentences for things like subject verb agreement, tenses, and word order. Use grammatical structures that you are confident with and words that you are sure you have spelled correctly. Finally, check your punctuation, check full stops and commas, and make sure you have begin each sentence with a capital letter. So how this question is scored, your response is judged on your ability to understand, analyze, and combine information from a lecture, then summarize the key points in writing. You are also assessed on the quality of your writing, on how well your response presents the key points in the lecture. So your score is based on 5 factors. The first factor is content. Does your response summarize the main points in the lecture? The content is scored by assessing if you have addressed all the key points of the lecture without misrepresenting the purpose or topic. If your summary misinterprets or the topic or the purpose of the lecture, you will not receive any score points for your summary on any of the 5 factors. So content is scored by assessing if you have addressed all the key points of the lecture without misrepresenting the purpose or the topic. If your summary misinterprets the topic or the purpose of the lecture, you will not receive any score points for your summary on any of the 5 factors. So the best responses clearly summarize the main points and the condensed, the essential points, some supporting points. The focus on the topic and include only key for information and essential supporting points. For form, does your response meet the length requirement between 20 and 30 words? Form is scored by counting the number of words in your response. You'll receive full credit if your response is between 20 and 30 words. Writing fewer than 20 words or more than 30 words will decrease your score. And if your summary contains fewer than 5 words or more than 40 words, you will not receive any score points for your summary on any of the 5 factors. So for the grammar, does your response show you can use grammar correctly? Grammar is scored by assessing if the basic structure of your sentence is correct. So the best responses use concise sentences with that clearly communicate your intended meaning. And for vocabulary, does your response show you can choose and use words correctly? Your vocabulary is scored according to its relevance to the lecture and its appropriateness in an academic environment. The appropriate use of synonyms is also scored. The best responses use words from the lecture appropriately, demonstrate an understanding of the context, and use synonyms effectively to show variety in language use. So spelling, does your response show you can use a single spelling convention correctly and consistently? For PTE recognizes English spelling conventions from the United States, the United Kingdom, Australia, and Canada. However, you should use one spelling convention consistently in each response you give. Also, please note that the partial credit scoring applies. No credit is given for no response or an irrelevant response. This question type affects the scoring of the following: listening, writing, grammar, spelling, and vocabulary. Your spelling skills are not tested by this question type, and your reading skills are also your reading skills are only used to read the instructions. Now we have multiple choice, multiple answers. For this task, listen on to a recording, answer a multiple choice question on the content or tone of the recording. You can select more than one response. Prompt length, it would be 50 to 90 seconds. Skill assessed would be listening. Time to answer is not applicable. How to answer this question? For this question type, you need to listen to the recording and answer the multiple choice question. There's more than one correct response. The audio recording will play automatically. You can only listen to it once, and you need to select all of the correct options from the list. Click on an option to select it. You can deselect it by clicking on it again. So the test tips: take notes of the main points and supporting details. In the 7 seconds before the recording begins, read the questions and get ready to take notes to help you answer. Taking notes is likely to be more helpful than trying to select options while you listen, because you may not hear the information in exactly the same order as the options. Note down the details, that is time, places, things, what happened, as well as the main points, because you will need to select more than one option. Take notes of the main points and supporting details. Select for the meaning, not just for matching the words you hear. So select the option that best match the meaning of what you heard. Don't just choose an option because it has the same words or phrases as the recording. Sometimes it can be deceiving. So several options may use words from the recording but may not match the meaning of what you have heard. You will be provided with some sort of the question with the drop down menu. So make sure you know the task is scored. So how the task is scored, read the instructions carefully and remember that more than one response option is correct. You will score points for any correct options, but you will lose points for any incorrect options as well. These include options you have clicked on as correct but which are wrong. If you click on all the options because you do not know the answer, you will score points. You will lose your score points. So how this question is scored, your response is judged on your ability to analyze, interpret, and evaluate a brief audio or video recording on an academic subject. If all your response options are correct, you will receive the maximum score points. If one or more of your response options are incorrect, partial credit scoring applies. Also note that this question type affects the scoring of only listening. Your speaking and writing skills are not tested by this question type, and your reading skills are only used to read the instructions, prompt, and response options. For fill in the blanks question, you can see that the task, you will see a transcript of recording with several gaps. Listen to the recording and type the missing word in each gap. The prompt length would be around 30 to 60 seconds. The skill assessed would be listening, and the time to answer is not applicable because it will vary. So how to answer this question? For this question type, you need to complete a transcript of an audio recording by typing in the missing words. So you can see how to answer this. Again, for this question type, you need to complete a transcript of an audio recording by typing in the missing word. The audio recording will automatically play and you can only listen to it once. Click on each gap and type in the missing word. You can also use the tab button on your keyboard to move up to the next gap. So while the audio is playing, you can take notes on the erasable whiteboard or your notepad. The test tips is the skim the text before the recording begins. In the 7 seconds before the recording begins, you only have time to skim the text. As you do this, ignore the gaps and try to get an overall idea of what the text is about. So this will help you recognize the words that fit the gaps as you hear them. Some of the things you can look for is proper nouns that begin with the capital letter. They can give you information about the people and what they do. Places, organizations, and nouns that are reported in the text, they may help you decide on the topic. So this would be, you will be getting this sort of the paragraph, and you can see the options provided here. So as you listen, write the words you hear from the blanks on your erasable whiteboard or notepad. The recording is at normal speed and you will only hear it once. So when you are listening, you do not have time to think about how to spell the missing words. Use your erasable whiteboards to write down that you think you hear. So after the recording has finished, you can read through the text and use your notes to decide on words that are missing and how they are spelled, then type them into the gaps. How the question is scored, your response is judged on your ability to listen for missing words in a recording and type the missing words into a transcription. So your score is based on the following factors. The first one is the content. Does your answer include all the missing words? The content scored by counting the number of correct words with correct spelling in your answer. Each correct word spelled correctly scores 1 point. If you fill all the blanks with the correct word spelled correctly, you will receive the maximum score points. If one of or more blanks are filled incorrectly, partial credit scoring applies. Also, please note that this question type affects the scoring of listening and writing. Your speaking skills are not tested by the question type, and your reading skills are only used to read the instructions and the transcriptions. For multiple choice single answer, the task is that listen to a recording, select the paragraph that best summarizes the recording. Prompt length would be 30 to 60 words. Skills assessed listening, and the time to answer is not applicable. How to answer this question is, for this question type, you need to listen to the recording and answer the multiple choice question. The audio recording will play automatically. You can only listen to it once. There are several possible responses options, but only one is correct. Click on an option to select it. You can change your mind by clicking on it again or by clicking on a different option. So here are the few test tips. Focus on the kind of information you need for these questions. The main part of the question tells you what to listen for. Try to understand the focus of the question to help guide your listening. For example, if it will tell you whether you are listening for the main idea, what was the main cause of the company's collapse, or if you are listening for some supporting information or details, what aspect of the past transport policy does the speaker mention, or if you are listening for an inference drawn by the speaker, what does the speaker suggest what the factory may have to do? Or if you are listening to the speaker's purpose, why does the speaker talk about the fall in the car ownership? So skim the text and answer the options before you listen to understand the topic. In the 5 seconds before the recording begins, quickly read the questions and response options to make sure you understand the topic. For example, in this sample, the question shows that the speaker will talk about the future, and the response options show you they all include the word media. So you are listening to hear what the speaker thinks what happens to the media in the future. So what does the speaker believe is likely to what happen in the future? The media will be owned by a small number of the corporations. The public will eventually pay for the funding of the media. So the keyword is the media in each option you can see. So what are the what can be the possibilities over here? You can just see it over here. So how this question is scored: your response is judged on your ability to analyze, interpret, and evaluate a short video recording on everyday subject. Your response is scored as either correct or incorrect. No credit is given for no response or an incorrect option or response. Also note that this question type affects the scoring of only listening, and your speaking and writing skills are not tested with this question type, and your reading skills are only used to read the instructions, prompt, and response options. For select missing word, the task is that listen to a recording, select the missing word that completes the recording from a list of the options. The prompt length would be 20 to 70 words, and the skill assessed would be listening, and the time to answer is not applicable. How to answer this question type is, for this question you need to select the most appropriate word or group of words to complete an audio recording. The audio recording will play automatically. You can only listen to it once. There are several possible response options, but only one is correct. Click on an option to select it. You can change your mind by clicking on it again or by clicking on a different option. So the test tips: know that what you do if you change your mind about the answer. For each item in the task, there are 3 to 5 response options, but only one is correct. At the end of the recording, click on the option you think is correct. The next recording does not begin playing until you click next. So you have a little time to think about your answer. If you want to change your answer, click on again to deselect it, then click on the option you think is correct. So irrelevant, problematic, confusing, important, popular, you will be having some sort of the options. So how the question is scored. Your response is judged on your ability to predict what the speaker will say. Based on the contextual clues in a recording, your response is scored as either correct or incorrect. No credit is given for no response or an incorrect response. Also note that this question type affects the scoring of only listening. Your speaking and writing skills are not tested by this question type, and your reading skills are only used to read the instructions and the response options. For highlighting correct words, the task, you will see a transcript of a recording. While listening to the recording, click on the words that are different from what is said. The prompt length would be 15 to 50 seconds. The skill assessed would be listening and reading. Time to answer is not applicable. So how to answer this question? For this question type, you will listen to an audio recording and select words in the transcript that are different. So the audio recording will play automatically. You can only listen to it once. Click on a word to select it. You can click on it again to deselect it as well. Here are a few test tips. As you can see, you need to quickly read the transcription before you listen to focus on words. In the 10 seconds before the recording begins, you don't have time to read every word, but you can skim the transcription. This is one of the important strategy which you can apply, which is skimming. Focus on the words that give you information, that is nouns, economy, adjectives, verbs, and decide what the general topic is about. This will help you pick out the words that do not fit this topic area as you read and listen. So follow the text with a cursor as you listen. Always note this, and the best approach is to select the wrong words as the text is read. Do not try to make notes as you listen. Move the cursor along the screen as the words are spoken and click on any words that sound different from the words on the screen. As you can see that the words which you will be selecting will be highlighted in this way. So how the question is scored. Your response is judged on your ability to listen for and point out the differences between recording and a transcription. Each word you select is scored as either correct or incorrect. If all your selected words are correct, you will receive the maximum score points. If one or more of your selected words are incorrect, partial credit scoring applies. So each correct response option is given 1 point, but 1 point is deducted for each wrong option. So make sure you are confident in your choices. Also note that this question type affects the scoring of listening and reading. Your speaking and writing skills are not tested by this question type. Write from dictation is another type of the question which you will get. So the task is that you will listen to a recording of a sentence, then type the answer. The prompt length would be around 3 to 5 seconds. The skill assessed would be listening and writing, and the time to answer is not applicable. So how to answer this question is, for this question type, you need to listen to a sentence and then type it into the response box at the bottom of the screen. The audio recording will play automatically. You can only listen to it once. While the audio is playing, you can take notes on your erasable whiteboard. Remember to check your spelling as well. Here are a few test tips. Type as many correct words as you can remember into the response box in the correct order. You will score points for every correct word that you write in the response box. If you can remember a word but you are not sure where it goes in the sentence, use your knowledge of English grammar to help you decide. So how this question is scored? Your score is based on the following factors. First one is the content. You can see that does your response include all the words in the sentence? Only these words. Content scored by counting the number of words in your answer. If all the words are correct and spelled correctly, you will receive the maximum score points. If one or more words are incorrect, partial credit scoring applies. And also note that this question type affects the scoring of listening and writing. Your speaking skills are not tested in this question type, and your reading skills are only used to read the instructions. I hope you have enjoyed this lesson. If you haven't subscribed to my YouTube channel, subscribe it to get more updates related to IELTS, PTE, English grammar, and English language lessons. Thank you.